It's so cool that you journaled since such a young age. I think a lot of us have, interesting stories growing up and we just forget them. And the fact that you had them saved and you were able to kind of like pull them out and then reflect on them later on and write this book, I just think is so amazing and something that everyone can take away from this in terms of like the importance of journaling.
Yeah, well, keep the stories alive. Again, you think when something awesome happens, or you cross a truth, or something's really entertaining, or you individually really laugh at something, you think it's really special. Again, we always think, oh, I'll always remember that.
Yeah.
But what happens over time is it gets fuzzy. So one, I say yes, journal. But two, if you have something, the verbal telling of the story, keep telling the story over and over. Keep sharing the story. That also keeps it alive. But also write it down, because the first way you remember it will be different than you tell it 10 years later. Stories kind of they become different things. You come over time, you give them different facts. So it's good to be able to go back and go, how did I originally feel about that? What originally turned me on about that circumstance in my life? And again, just, I say in the book, I write things down so I can forget them, not to remember. Well, what I mean by that is if something turns me on in life, and if I write it down, I know that I can now don't have to keep thinking, oh, don't forget that, don't forget that, don't forget that. Because I've written it down. That means I can forget it because I go, no, I wrote that down. It's there when I want to go back to it.
Yeah.
So I don't have to continually go through life going, don't forget that thing, don't forget, make sure you don't forget that. I write it down so I can forget it because I know I have it written down.
Yeah, that's something that David Allen taught me. He's the author of GTD, Getting Things Done. And basically, you have open loops in your brain. And until you write them down, you don't actually close that loop. So really good point.
Yep.
So let's talk about the title of your book. It's called Green Lights. And I just want to get my listeners some context in terms of what does a green light mean? What's the difference between a green light, a red light? And is there something called a yellow light? Tell us all about that.
Yeah, green lights mean go. They affirm our way. They say, carry on, please. More. Yes. Freedom. Attaboy, attagirl. Keep on going. We like them because they keep us in our flow. They don't interrupt us. Yellow light slows us down. We don't really like it. We don't want it to happen. Wait, why am I getting this? Why am I getting interrupted right now? You know what I mean? Get out of my way. Red light makes us stop. Those are crises or times of retrospection or introspection in our life. We need those. We may not want them, but we need them if we're going to evolve as individuals and as humans. The red and yellow lights I've found eventually turn green in the rearview mirror of life, meaning hardships we've had or times where we've had to be introspective and look back over our shoulder and assess why we keep failing at something or why we keep running into the same problem or practicing the same bad habit. We find out later, oh, I needed that. I needed that to turn the page. I need my own life. I needed that to evolve. I needed that to grow. I needed that introspection. Because if it was all just green lights, and life was one big summer Saturday, shoeless summer, and like I said, well, then what's it all for? It's kind of like it's all for entertainment.
Yeah.
There's no evolution, and then we'd eventually get bored. So you need the reds and the yellows, and even hardships, in tragedies in the red lights in life. There's gifts in there.
Yeah.
And to realize that there's a green light asset in my life because my father died.
Yeah.
You go, wait a minute, how's that a green light? No, I'm not saying his dying is a green light. That's a red light. But, boy, did I learn a bunch of courage sooner than I would have if he'd have still been alive because I was trusting that he had my back, that he was a crutch for me.
Yeah.
And his passing away made me go, you better start becoming the young man you want to become and quit acting like one and start being one. So there was a green light asset in his passing. Again, it doesn't deny the red light, but there's a green light asset in our red and yellow lights.
Yeah, I totally relate to that. My dad actually passed away this past May, and since then, I remember in your book you were saying, it was kind of serendipitous when my dad died because his closing of his life really led to the opening of my life, and I thought, and it was just like a nice, beautiful closing of that chapter and opening of yours. And I
Yeah.
can totally relate because right after my father died, it's like my downloads 10x. I launched pretty much $1 million business. I landed a TED Talk. Like all these positive things started happening. And it's because, like you said, I lost that crutch of my father being there for me. I just, found this new passion for life and thought, let me just work even harder than I was working before. And I really believed in myself. And I think
Right.
believing in everything and believing that life is limitless is really how you end up just accomplishing your goals. I know that you had this speech at Houston. You did like a commencement speech or something like that,
Yes.
where you talked about unbelievable being a word that you dislike. So can you talk to us about that word unbelievable and why you don't
Oh,
like that word?
I think it's the stupidest word in the dictionary. Unbelievable. What an unbelievable play. What an unbelievable movie. What an unbelievable sunset. What an unbelievable beautiful person. What? These things in life that are awesome, why would we call them unbelievable? These are the things that make us believe more in the awe of life. So it's the complete antonym, and it's sort of, it discredits how the limits of beauty. It discredits the evil mankind can possess. Let's go to the negative. Let's go to the ugly side. Somebody flew on 9/11, flew a plane into the Twin Towers in America. Unbelievable. No, it just happened.
Yeah.
Give more credit to the evil mankind can possess, as well as give more credit to the awe and the beauty in life. These things are not unbelievable. And so I think the word unbelievable can be used so often that it makes us numb and in denial of the extreme beauties and the extreme tragedies that life just has. An earthquake comes, a tidal wave comes. It was unbelievable. Well, no, it wasn't. It just happened.
Yeah.
Look that in the eye. And so that's why I don't like the word. It's a cop out word.